Committee.
Honorable Madi Ceesay, Vice Chair.
Honorable Kewalam Fufana, Member of the Committee.
Council, can you quickly do an introduction before we...
Good morning, honorable members. Good morning, sir. My name is Lamin M. Diba. On my left is Ajise Nika, and on my right is Mr. Tony F. Mendy.
Thank you. Before we allow the witness to say anything, let me put the statement and then we'll administer the oath. Good morning, Mr. Ceesay. Huh? Yes, Mr. Ceesay. Thank you. So, on behalf of the Special Select Committee of the National Assembly, I welcome you to this sitting convene to inquire into the sales and disposal of assets identified by the Commission of Inquiry into the financial activities of public bodies, enterprises, and offices in relation to their dealing with former President Yahya Jammeh and connected matters. You are appearing today in response to a summon duly issued to you by this committee to provide testimony on matters within your knowledge that are relevant to the subject of our inquiry. Please be reminded that you are appearing under oath and pursuant to the provisions of the 1997 Constitution of the Republic of the Gambia. It constitutes contempt of the National Assembly to knowingly withhold, misrepresent, or conceal any information relevant to the committee's work. You are further advised that in accordance with parliamentary privilege, any statement or testimony you provide before this committee shall not be used against you in any court of law, except in case of perjury, where it is proven that you knowingly and deliberately provided false information while under oath. You are therefore expected to cooperate fully and provide truthful, accurate, and complete response to all questions posed to you, whether by committee's legal counsel or members of this committee. We appreciate your presence and expect your utmost candor and cooperation throughout this proceeding. So, Secretary, can we administer the oath before we allow him to say anything?
Take the affirmation. Okay. I, Ebrima Ceesay. I, Ebrima Ceesay, do solemnly, sincerely, and truly affirm that the evidence I shall give before this committee shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Thank you. Help me, Allah.
All right. Thank you so very much, Mr. Ceesay. You're welcome to the Special Select Committee, the sitting of the Special Select Committee. Like I said earlier on, you will be with us today. We will hand you over to the Council for your testimony. Council, over to you.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Good morning once more, Mr. Ceesay.
Good morning, Council.
Before I ask you to give us a brief academic and professional background, I would first ask whether you indeed received a summons to produce documents from this committee.
Yes, on the 17th of last month, I received the summons letter.
And you complied with that summons?
On the 21st, I did my submission.
And that was you complying with the summons?
Yes,
and submitting documents?
On the 11th of this month, I was here to give statement.
You gave a statement to our investigators?
Yes, on the 11th of this month.
And were you given a copy of that statement?
Yes, I have my copy here.
Do you adopt that statement?
Yes, and sign.
On that note, Honorable Chair, I would like to request that the following documents be presented as the witnesses' documents and marked as follows. The statement of Mr. Ebrima Ceesay, EC1. That's EC1. Before I go to EC2, Mr. Ceesay, you had submitted a document twice. However, the first submission was done in Word, and the second submission was done in PDF. The committee has recognized that the submission was made in duplicates.
Maybe sometimes they cannot open the other version, so I had to send it again.
That's fine. I will present. That's fine. I will present the said documents to the Secretariat,
okay,
so that they can present it to you. Please go through them and confirm that they're indeed one document. All 4 documents are one document.
Okay.
So that we can go by one document.
All right. Thank you. Hello, Council. Indeed, there are one document. I just realized a minor issue on the first submission about the letter, the cover letter. Instead of Secretary to the Cabinet, my PA had put there Secretary of Cabinet. So that was the little correction, and I qualified that to Fatu Sanya. So indeed, it's one document.
All right. We would then take that copy, if I can get the copies, Secretariat. And Mr. Ceesay, for future reference, we don't know any Miss Sanya. The committee doesn't know any Miss Sanya. The committee knows that it has investigators, so please refer to them as investigators.
Okay, investigator. That's all right.
So, Ceesay, can you please highlight where the discrepancy is?
The material. It's on the cover letter. Can you give me the first submission on the 21st?
They're both dated the 21st.
Yes.
Secretariat.
Well, there is this portion where the PA stated, like this one, it is already corrected as Secretary to the Cabinet. The earlier version was Secretary of Cabinet.
In what portion? Please guide the committee.
That is the third line of this letter.
The
where
one
you
that
have
says
Secretary
assets,
to the Cabinet.
the one that reads assets disposals in my capacity as Secretary of the Cabinet.
Yes, instead of Secretary of Cabinet, it should be Secretary to Cabinet.
But that correction was not made.
I have done that one the following day. That's what I sent to the investigator for correction.
There are 4 documents here, all of which you submitted to the...
Why I did 4 documents? Because I addressed to the clerk and that of the care of the committee.
Is there another discrepancy apart from the
No,
discrepancy?
only this one, on the cover letter.
That's fine. We will take it
Yes.
as one document, correct?
Yes.
Honorable Chair, if I may proceed. EC2 will be a letter dated the 21st of July 2025. It will be the letter addressed to the clerk of the National Assembly instead of the letter addressed to the chairperson, the one that contains a stamp and signature. EC3 Honorable Chair, would be the report of the Presidential Task Force on the assets forfeited to the state pursuant to the Jammeh Commission recommendation submitted to Cabinet on the 23rd of April 2020. That should be EC3. EC3, yes. The second report, my understanding is that the copies are yet to be made available to the committee. The report of the 28th, that will be EC4. And the last document, which should be a list of approved properties for master list. It's a document that has the first wording as the letter A/Banjo. It will be EC5. Those are the documents the witness submitted. Of course, Honorable Chair, I would like to bring to your attention the fact that these documents have been submitted by the Secretary to the current Secretary to Cabinet. Yes, and the last document would be EC6. That is the letter dated the 10th of July, I believe. July 2018. That will be EC6.
What about the cabinet conclusions, which are also submitted? You have 2 of them.
They are part of EC3. But if the committee wishes, we could mark them separately. We must mark them jointly, the two conclusions, as EC7. Thank you. Mr. Ceesay, please confirm that those are the documents that you submitted and not anything more. They are a group of 7 documents.
I don't have the copies with me right now.
You do not have the copies?
Yes.
I would ask that the Secretariat...
Like you did for the cover letter, give me the copies, let me confirm. What?
I would ask that the Secretariat take my copy.
Mr. Counsel?
Yes.
Yes, the one marked EC2 is the one that should be removed. This is the corrected version. This one is containing Secretary of Cabinet instead of Secretary to the Cabinet. So you can consider this one as EC2.
The one that you wish for the committee to consider
is this one.
Is the unsigned letter.
Is the unsigned, both of them. This
yes, so if that's why I asked
signed. This one is unsigned one.
Hold on.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I asked you whether all the letters, the contents are the same.
No, the contents are not the same. I mentioned that earlier.
Yes, the only content that is different is the to and the off.
Yes.
Those 2 words.
Yes.
I believe the contents are the same. What you communicated, the essence of what you communicated is in the letter.
Yes, but it's the corrected version.
Mr. Ceesay, I am advising the Honorable Chair to take the signed copy.
The signed one.
Yes, not the one that you did not sign.
Then can you allow me to sign off here and then put TO there and remove FOF?
It is of no moment to the committee.
All right.
We will change that. We have noted it and we will
that's
change
fine.
in our
It's
records.
okay. You can go ahead. Then SC2 is the letter. Secretary.
Mr. Ceesay, do you confirm that these are the documents?
Yes, yes, I've already confirmed.
These are all the documents that
submitted on the 24th of July.
Okay.
Yes.
Great. I can already see remnants of a secretary in you trying to change as small as a variant of 2 to off, which is
Not only secretary, I'm a teacher.
that's great.
Yes.
That's great. And I'm happy you're a teacher because today you would be doing most of the teaching and we will be learning from you.
All right.
And the first thing we want to learn from you today is your academic background and coupled with your professional background and how you came to be the secretary to cabinet at this time and what you are now.
Thank you, Honorable Chair and members. I'm here in full respect of the committee's important work, and I will do my best to support this inquiry within the limits of my role and memory, while observing my continuing obligation of confidentiality as former Secretary to the Cabinet. I'm Ebrima Ceesay, born on the 25th of September 1977. I started my elementary education in Buren. In 1986, 1992, I went to Wisrot Middle School, the new education system. Then 1992 to 1995, I sat to grade 9 exam. Then I continued the same school from 95 to 98, where I did my WAS, that is the senior secondary school certificate. Then on the 13th of October 1999, I enrolled at the Gambia College with the new education system, with World Bank of the 3-year program of the PTC, now called Lower Diploma in Lower Basic. Then completed in 2002, September 1, 2002, graduated from Gambia College. And then I was posted to Buyam, St. Edward. Then from there I moved to Bakau Upper Basic in 2002. Then in 2004, I went to Management Development Institute, now called the Civil Service University, to do Diploma in Management Studies, otherwise called DMS. Then in 2004-2005 academic year, I enrolled at the University of the Gambia, UTG, to pursue my degree in education, completed in July 2008, and then got employed at the Management Development Institute as assistant management trainer, as first degree holder. And then in 2009, I got scholarship to pursue master's degree in public sector management in management school in Ghana called the Ghana Institute for Management and Public Administration, or called GIMPA. This was 2010. Then when I completed that one, I returned to MDI. I was assistant management trainer. Immediately when you return from training, you are not immediately promoted. Depending on the organogram and the institutional setting, sometimes your promotion can be faster. But sometimes you stay for a while, at least 2 to 3 years, before you move to the next cadre. For the case of MDI, when you come as a graduate, you start from assistant management trainer. Then after getting your second degree or master's, you go to management trainer with successful designing, because MDI staff, you are appointed to look into, to do consultancy, training and research. So when you develop courses, both long-term and short-term courses, or we call it tailor-made courses, or customized one based on the needs of the public service or the SOEs, state-owned enterprises. My department was the General Management and Policy Analysis. I was assistant to late Dr. Sasindur. So after that, I was promoted as senior management trainer, and Ceesay on contract, I was assigned to be the head of department in 2014. So I was head of department from 2014 up to 2017. With the coming of the new dispensation, I was appointed as permanent secretary on the 13th of February 2017. And the same year, I was elevated on promotion as secretary to cabinet on the 8th of December 2017. Until 2023, on the 25th of January 2023, I was redeployed as ambassador extraordinary and plenipotentiary to Russian Federation. So in summary, this is Ebrima before you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ceesay. You say in summary, but it was quite extensive, and you seem to have such a good memory. You remember if all the exact dates of your appointments and your reappointments. So I'm looking forward to your testimony so that you can tell us all the exact happenings during the time of the commission. However, before I do proceed, I picked up from your introduction that your testimony would be limited to your role as secretary to cabinet.
Yes.
And that is appreciated.
Yes. Based on memory or recollections.
Great. Yes. We would also tap on your recollections. That is exactly the point I wanted to put across. But also, the issue of confidentiality.
Confidentiality here, allow me to qualify, like the case of cabinet conclusions, cabinet decisions are collective decisions, so we don't disclose who say what in the cabinet flow. So what I presented to you is the collective decision of the cabinet, not an individual Minister X of Lands, Minister Y of Interior, or Minister W of Defense. That's the confidentiality.
That's fine. I will not pick that issue up with you, but for the purposes of your testimony, nothing beats this committee. There is no confidentiality with the committee. Of course, your right to raise an issue that may be confidential will still be retained by you. Let us know when anything is dubbed confidential by you, and then it will be considered by the committee. But for the purposes of our mandate, nothing should be withheld, because Parliament is requiring full disclosure from all institutions. Go ahead.
Mr. Counsel, thank you. In my preamble, I've stated that I'm here in full respect of this committee's important work, and I have no iota of hiding anything. This is a national assignment, and we are all into this. So there's no issue that I'm here to hide anything. Thank you.
That's great. At least we're on the same page. It's the issue of confidentiality that we had to address, but I'm glad we're on the same page. Perhaps where we can start from is if you could give us a description of, firstly, your first role as permanent secretary. Before you do that, actually, give us a picture. Give the committee a picture of what the office of the president looks like, the organogram and reporting lines.
Thank you, Honorable Chair and members and Council and all those in audience. The organogram at the office of the president start from the Secretary General during my time, that's at the top. Then you have the Secretary to Cabinet, because there was no DSG until 2020 when they appointed Deputy Secretary General. But in the absence of the Deputy Secretary General,
until which year?
Until 2020, when Salimata, the current ambassador to Ethiopia, AU, was appointed Deputy Secretary General.
So is it the case that there was never a position?
During my time, up to 2020, there was no Deputy Secretary General. Everybody is here.
That's fine. We need to get, who is everybody? The members?
All of us.
I don't believe any of my members were in cabinet.
No, this is not cabinet, this is national issue. Everybody knows what happens at the office of the president. Because all of you go there, you know who is Secretary General.
I have never been to.
No, they send their clearance there, they know who is Secretary General.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Please, let's stop the inferences. My members do not know anything.
Okay.
And I don't believe any of the...
Don't know anything, that's fine. We go by that. So at the top of the ozonogram,
I need to clarify something, however.
Yes.
I need you to clarify something, right?
Okay.
You mentioned that there was no DSC. DSG.
That's Deputy Secretary General.
Yes. Is it because the position was not created or that it was not filled?
No, organograms are flexible. You can always adjust it anytime you want.
That is understood. Please answer the question as to the fact. Was there a position named DSG?
No, when I was there, it was not there until 2020, when it became part of the budget. Because a position, there is what we call manpower budget. So if you want to create a position, it has to be captured in the manpower budget when the budget circular is out in July.
Okay.
Yes.
So
otherwise you will not get the position, because where are you going to tap the money to pay the person? You don't just jump and then create a position. It has to be planned. When the circular is out from Ministry of Finance, manpower budget, that's where you can say this year we want this number of staff as addition.
So the question is, at that time, the period of 2017
2020
until 2020.
Yes.
It is clear that there was no substantive holder of the position.
Yes.
What I'm left in doubt of is if the position even existed.
It used to come and go. During First Republic, you have Deputy Secretary General, and sometimes it will disappear from the budget. So until new government 2017 up to 2020, there was no Deputy Secretary General. Secretary to Cabinet is considered as de facto Deputy Secretary General. That's why when the Secretary General is traveling, Secretary to Cabinet stays on. You don't travel with him or her.
Okay, this is important because we're trying to...
Yes, that's the organogram I'm giving to you.
That's fine, yes. We're trying to decipher who is where and who is placed what in terms of hierarchy.
That's very important.
Yes. And it is also important to register as a matter of fact whether the DSG position was a vacant position at the time and not filled, which you have confirmed that it was vacant.
No, it was not vacant. Take note, it was created in 2020. The position was not in the budget.
But you have mentioned that it was not in the budget.
2020 when it was included in the budget and it was filled. Just like the case of Chief of Staff now.
Okay.
You can have a position in the budget for a year, no personality appointed. The following year it will be there, and then until another time when the executive will decide who can fill the position. So even this Chief of Staff you see today, it was mentioned almost 2-3 years before we get the substantial holder of the position, based on our discussion with the Tony Blair Institute, or TBI, advice at the office of the President.
That's great.
Yes.
That's great. Again, my question still remains whether the provision, whether there was provision for the DPS.
No, no.
Let me land. Yes, let me land. The DSG, right? The Deputy Secretary General. Whether there was provision for that position at that time, within the years of 2017 to 2020. Yes, you have mentioned that it was created in 2020, but you also mentioned that it has been going and coming. The position has been, let me finish, and then you can answer. The position has been on and off. You've mentioned that from previous regimes. So I want a definite answer as to whether it was in the books at the time or not.
No, the point here, Mr. Counsel, let me help you to qualify this point. The point here is, during our time, 2017, it's not in the budget. Until 2020, when there is need, the chief executive of the country, His Excellency President Barrow, has the authority, has the right to create any position in consultation with the Public Service Commission and Personnel Management Office. That is what I'm saying. And once budget circular is out from Ministry of Finance,
okay, let's not go to
yes, this is hold on. We'll now go to the General.
Hold on. Let's not go to the budget circular. I don't want us to go around. Hold on.
I'm taking you around.
That's fine. Just give me a second.
Okay.
Let's establish some order here. All I need to know is if the position existed at the time or not. No, we are well aware that the president can create, and we don't want to interject that authority of the president. We're not inquiring as to his authority to create an office. That is understood.
Okay.
What I seek to understand is if the office of the deputy of the Secretary General was an office at the time. It was a vacant office, or it was a non-existent office?
It was non-existent until 2020.
Thank you.
Okay. But I have not exhausted the organogram.
Of course not. Go on, please.
All right, thank you. At the top is the President, then you have the Secretary General and Head of the Civil Service. Then in the absence of the Secretary General, you have the Secretary to the Cabinet, and then you have number of permanent secretaries. Then you have permanent secretary responsible for admin and finance, F&A. You consider the person as permanent secretary 1 at the office of the President. Then we have permanent secretary for policy and programs. Then we have permanent secretary for projects. And then we have other permanent secretaries, up to 5 of them. Then below the permanent secretaries are the deputy permanent secretaries. We also attach them accordingly. That is, we'll have deputy permanent secretary for F&A, that is admin and finance, projects, then it goes like that. Then below the deputy permanent secretary is the PAS, principal assistant secretaries, and they also work under DPSs. And then below the PAS...
Let's stop at the principal level. Now you can move on and cross-cut.
No, it's just 2 left now.
Okay.
That is SAS, senior assistant secretaries. Then AS, that is the cadec admin. When you are appointed into service, then you are appointed as AS, that is assistant secretary. Then you progress on the ladder up to one day you become permanent secretary. Thank you.
Great. So in the office of the president, there are different units. Can you spell out the units for us and the unit heads?
Thank you, Council. We have the Secretary General at the top, and then Cabinet Secretary or Cabinet Secretariat is a mini or an independent autonomous one, but we report to the Secretary General and to the President. Then we have the main Secretariat, that is where you have the permanent secretaries. Then we have the Records Office. We have 3 records office. We have the record office at the level of the presidency, that is handled by the executive secretary to the president. That's where you have the ministerial appointments and so on. Then we have the record office of the cabinet secretariat. Then we have the general record office that handle all the files, letters, every correspondence that come to the office of the president.
What about the office of the secretary to cabinet?
Office of the secretary to the...
Is he a head of unit? Please allow me to finish my sentences before you come in. I know you are eager to answer the questions. However, you have to let me land so that you can get a full context of what is being asked. Please go ahead.
Like I mentioned earlier, Secretary to Cabinet is the head of the Secretary to the Cabinet is the head of the Secretariat. We have our own filing system, records everything. It's a very big office. We have all the materials since 1960s up to date. And then we are working with the NRS, National Record Service, how to convert those hard copies into electronic version for posterity. So Cabinet Secretariat is a full office with all the staff there. We have 2 secretaries there, and we have 2 record officers there that handle all the record affairs.
Is it a unit that is headed by
Head of Cabinet Secretary is the head
Secretary
of,
to Cabinet?
yes, is the head of the unit.
Is the head of the unit?
Yes, and during my time I requested that because of the workload to have DSC, that is Deputy Secretary to the Cabinet.
That's fine.
Yes.
So now, I would like a differentiation between the roles of the Secretary General and the Secretary to Cabinet. Just explain to us.
Yeah. The roles of the two are different, and then the latter always supplement the first one. That is, Secretary General, as I mentioned, is the head of the civil service, is the one responsible for entire civil service. In summary, that all correspondence in government issues, activities are addressed to the Secretary General and head of the civil service. Until now, they collapsed the two. Now they have a Secretary to the Cabinet and head of the civil service and dropped the SG as of November 18 last year.
That is great.
Yes.
What I want you to stick to is to the different roles.
No, I'm coming. Then to the issue of Secretary to the Cabinet, you are responsible for Cabinet affairs. That is working closely with the President when there is need for Cabinet meeting. We'll send notice to all the sectors. This day and age, I've developed the WhatsApp group for Cabinet. Before my Secretariat will have to call each secretary at the Ministry of Environment, Ministry of Trade, Ministry of Finance, that there will be Cabinet on the 24th of August, that is Thursday. But now what I'll do is, once I finalize with the President, you cannot hold Cabinet without meeting the President. In Cabinet, we refer to the President as the chairman. So I have to go on Monday to meet the President. When I got the submissions from ministries, that is the CP, Cabinet papers, okay, based on the revised edition of 2022 Cabinet Manual, we now call it CP, Cabinet paper. It used to be referred to as Cabinet Memorandum. Now we call it Cabinet paper. When you get those submissions, then I will go and inform the President. But you also have to check how many ministers are available, whether you'll have a quorum. Then when the President confirms that you can go ahead, then I will now come back to my Secretariat, inform my secretaries and my record officers that President has given the go-ahead, that 24th of August be Cabinet meeting. So Secretariat will start the preparation, like your Secretariat is doing here, to print the papers and every other thing, and send seal envelopes. You don't give Cabinet paper like that, and we arrange vehicles for them. These are very secret documents. We don't just give. My record officers will be given drivers to go and deliver to every minister's secretary, and they should sign the way book and confirm. So when that is done, we'll now hold Cabinet meeting on the 24th of August. And in the Cabinet, the layout of the Cabinet activity is that we have the prayers, then we have the conclusions, matters arising, the agenda for the day. It can be paper 1, 2, 3, up to 5. And then the last point is any other business or AOB. Then we have the closing prayer. That's the summary of Cabinet procedures.
I'm very grateful for you outlining cabinet procedures. I can see that you are indeed a teacher. However, my question was the difference between the role of the Secretary General and the Secretary to Cabinet. But thank you for enlightening me about the Cabinet's process. Now I would like you to answer my question.
Yes, the role of Secretary General, as I mentioned earlier, Mr. Counsel, is clear, is the head of the service and works closely with the President and the sectors. That letters, correspondence coming to the office of the President are addressed to the Secretary General. And it's the Secretary General that assigns permanent secretaries and Secretary to Cabinet as per what is relevant to your area. So Secretary to Cabinet, like I say, is purposely there to manage the affairs of the Cabinet meetings and also support the work of the Secretary General. In the absence of the Secretary General, when Secretary General travels with the President, you serve as acting Secretary General before he return or before she return.
Thank you. So just to give a synopsis of it, the Secretary General is the head, the administrative head of the Office of the President. And all correspondences naturally do flow to the substantive holder of that position. In addition, the Secretary General also coordinates all permanent secretaries, issues their TORs. That's what I believe you were saying, correct?
In conjunction with the Personal Management Office, PMO will advise the Secretary General on redeployment and every other thing. Yes.
And on top of that, the Secretary General also supervises the Secretary to Cabinet.
Yes, we report to the Secretary General. We are directly under Secretary General.
Is that the case, that you are directly under the Secretary General?
Yes.
Okay.
And I'm civil service.
Okay. With regards to the Secretary to Cabinet, their function is majorly around cabinet meetings, correct?
Very well.
And it stops at that.
Yes.
And it just concerns cabinet meetings.
Cabinet affairs.
Okay.
Yes.
And what could be cabinet affairs aside from meetings?
Cabinet affairs, after meetings, you do your conclusions. That is taking minutes of the cabinet procedures.
And following up on them?
No, you don't follow up. The way we follow up is different. Cabinet Secretary, the way we do the follow-up is different.
It's different from what?
It's different from what others may do. Here, the Cabinet Secretary, after the meeting, will do the conclusions. Then we'll take the 21st August meeting back to Cabinet for ministers to confirm what has been recorded, whether it's true or there is no addition or omission. Once that is confirmed, that is why we say conclusions and confirmation, plus matters arising, whether there is any new addition to what was mentioned on the 21st of August. For next 7 days, whether there is any new addition, that is what we refer to, any updates. If there is no updates, then this conclusion of 21st of August is now confirmed, and by way of cabinet communication, we do what we call extract. This is signed by Secretary to Cabinet. We send this to various ministries. If it is a joint CP, that is, there are some cabinet papers that are developed by 2 ministries, and then it can take on different ministries. So once that is why I even mentioned an example in my statement, like the case of Hippos attack of rice fields in Kuntaur in 2020, that focuses on different ministries. You have agriculture, lands, defense, and that of Ministry of Religious Affairs. Then when we do the conclusion, we have to do the extract and send to all these ministries. The next time, and that of Ministry of Environment, because it is the wildlife. So next time, how Cabinet know about whether any action has been taken is when we come to Cabinet. The main person here is the Minister of Environment. Then when we are doing the conclusion and updates, as chairman, the go-ahead to the Secretary to Cabinet, I will now call on the Minister of Environment and the subcommittee, any updates on the Kuntauru Hippos rice field attacks. Then the chair of the committee can report that we've engaged the Minister of Lands and they've transmitted the message to the local authorities, that is the governor and the team, and all the TAG members in the region, and then they have even arranged for armed forces to be there so that they can send the hippos away from the rice fields. This is how, but in the case of execution, Cabinet Secretary is not part of that. That is left to the ministries and agencies. We are not part of operational matters.
So it will be strange for the Secretary to Cabinet to be engaged in following up or enforcing Cabinet decisions. It would be, right?
No, you don't do that. It's not strange. Cabinet Secretary, you know your role and your TOR. You are not there to follow. How we follow it is when you come to Cabinet meeting of last one, 21st. That is where we ask the sector minister any update on the matter. So if there is no update, that one is phased out from the Cabinet agenda.
Okay.
Yes.
You know, I like clarity. You started the sentence with no, you don't do that, and that one is not. So there are a bit contrasting statements in your answer. I want to know, is it out of the ordinary for the Secretary to Cabinet to be following up or ensuring that directives are implemented?
We don't do that. Secretary of Cabinet, you don't do that.
So it's out of order for...
No, we don't do that at any...
So then it is out of order for the Secretary to do that?
It's out of order. You don't do that. Okay. It's only based on the directives of the Secretary General. Yes, but by way of getting information is when the next Cabinet meeting is convened. That's when the Cabinet Secretary put to the Sector Minister any update.
Mr. Ceesay?
Yes.
It doesn't seem like we're going to have a very short day today.
No, we can have it.
I don't believe we will do.
You started very late. I was here since 10.
Really? Okay. And
Yes.
Our meeting started at 11:30.
Not 11. I was
not
informed 11
All right, you were misinformed.
by the Secretariat.
Okay, that's fine.
Thank you.
That's fine. So, my question is, and I would like you to kindly stick to my question. Yes or no? If you want to elaborate, you can elaborate. But I'm asking, is it strange then for the Secretary to Cabinet to follow up decisions of Cabinet with respect to different institutions or individuals, or a directive from the President and from the Secretary, the Secretary General?
It's strange and should not be the case.
Yes, now I believe we'll have a short day.
Okay.
If I receive answers like that.
On vacation, I should have a short day.
Okay, that's fine. So what is the usual channel of communication between you and your superiors? But actually, before we go there,
Okay.
you had mentioned that the role of the Deputy Secretary General was non-existent.
No, the position.
Yes, the position was non-existent until 2020. I would, you know, why I do not want you to lecture us about the budget is because it is approved here.
No, I don't have marker or stamp here. I cannot lecture here today.
Well, you can lecture us. You can lecture us, but not on the budget, because the budget is our baby.
All right.
And according to the 2017 budget, the position was there. It was also there in 2018, likewise 2019, and likewise 2020.
Okay.
So the reason I bring out the DSG is because I wish to know the hierarchy between these three personnel.
It's below the SG.
The DSG is the deputy to the SG.
SG.
That is obvious.
Yes.
But what about the DSG in relation to the Secretary to Cabinet?
Still, Secretary to Cabinet is also below DSG.
Secretary to Cabinet then reports to DSG.
You can report to DSG as well as SG.
As SG.
Yes.
Okay, great. That is a point that is of great interest to the committee. Now, we've highlighted the hierarchy and we've highlighted the different roles. Please, let's go on to your modus operandi. How do you communicate to your superiors?
The way we communicate is the normal office assignment. Like I said, Secretary General is the one that record office, the General Record Office will send all correspondence to the Secretary General on daily basis. All the folders are given to the Secretary General. So based on the decision of Secretary General, whether this one should be minuted to Secretary to Cabinet or Permanent Secretary 1 or Permanent Secretary for projects and programs or whatever, then you have the file sent to your office. If I also need to discuss certain things with the Secretary General, I sought his permission to meet him or her at the time. And then he can also call me, or she can also call me to assign me on certain assignments from the civil service.
I'm interested in that. What sort of assignments does the Secretary General engage the
For
Secretary
example, the Permanent Secretary's retreat, he can assign me to coordinate, form a team to organize the retreat of senior officers, or like we did in 2022, we organized the cabinet retreat. So it's the Secretary General that can assign me, say, form a task force to organize the cabinet retreat or Permanent Secretary's retreat. During the time of COVID, with the support of the TVI, we normally conduct it virtual. We just do the virtual meeting. So Secretary General will assign me, even though it's virtual, to be the moderator of such meetings.
Okay.
Yes.
Are there any matters in your portfolio, or in the portfolio as a Secretary to Cabinet, in which you have authority over the Secretary General?
It's not possible.
It's not possible.
No, you are not the Secretary General, as I explained the organogram.
Yes.
Is the head.
What about issues directly affecting cabinet meetings? Who do you consult with?
You go to the chairman of the cabinet, His Excellency the President. You discuss cabinet matters with the President.
So do you discuss cabinet matters with the Secretary General?
No. Secretary General have his own file.
But that is the point. Then
No.
that means that, Mr. Ceesay, that means...
Sorry, wait, let me qualify this position.
I would ask that you kindly wait. Let me clarify this position. It is the committee that wants to know things. We cannot go by your curriculum. I know you're used to that as a teacher. But we are going by our curriculum. We need to clarify certain things. Right? So what I need to clarify is, when it comes to issues of cabinet, at least when it comes to matters of the meetings of cabinet, you have power over the Secretary General, or rather the Secretary to Cabinet reigns over the Secretary General and does not have to report to the Secretary General on such issues.
Now, let me help you, Counsel.
Please.
Here, you need to understand the organogram. Secretary General also sit in the cabinet, okay? And then is having a file. At the end of every cabinet meeting, we do the conclusions. We don't give conclusion to the President directly. It is given to the Secretary General for the President. The President only have the folder of cabinet papers when it's cabinet meeting. So matters of cabinet issues is discussed between the Secretary General and that of the President and Secretary to Cabinet. That is how the organogram is.
That is not clear to me.
It's clear, Counsel.
Yes, to you it is clear. To me it is not clear.
What do you want?
And we will not move until I'm clear.
No, what do you want to know?
What I want to, exactly, this is the approach I want from you.
Yes.
What I want to know is, you have mentioned that the SG, the Secretary General, also sits in cabinet.
Yes.
What is his role in cabinet?
It's there to take minutes of certain important actions that need to be conducted, because he need to be there to get first-hand information. Even though conclusions, there was a time, Secretary Generals were not in cabinet. But later, it was, in the First Republic, later it was upgraded that Secretary Generals be in cabinet meetings so that they will get first-hand information. Yes.
What's the essence of them getting first-hand information?
That is,
let me land. Because the secretary to cabinet is there as the secretary for cabinet, right? And he's taking minutes.
Yes.
He's taking all the points, all the conclusions. So is it that the secretary general then duplicates that role, or is there a specific purpose for why the SG sits?
No, it's not duplicating, Council. Let me help you. Here, Secretary General is the chief technician to the President. Is the chief technician to the President. This is what you need to understand. Secretary General being in cabinet is the chief technician to the President, and he needs to be there for meetings.
I don't doubt the need for him to be there.
Yes.
What I need you to explain to me, Mr. Ceesay, as you said, you are helping me. What I need you to help me with is, why is he there?
That is the chief technician to the President. He needs to be there to advise the President. Sometimes during cabinet meetings, there are issues that will come from sectors. You have direct contact with the permanent secretaries of the ministries. So he can give immediate answer to those points during cabinet meetings.
You had mentioned he also takes note of
certain important points.
And what's the purpose of taking those important points?
Like I say, is the chief technician, is the chief advisor to the President. So you need to take some of those bullet points so that when he's discussing with the President, as up to the point we'll do our conclusions, that will also, augment some of the points based on memory.
Okay, assist me here. My layman, you will not know what I'm going to say unless you hear.
Okay.
I don't know, I believe this is the first time we've met. I don't think you can finish my sentence. Thank you. What I'm saying is, my layman understanding of cabinet is that the president, as the head of state, has his advisors, and each of his advisors mans a portfolio. For example, his advisor on finance mans a portfolio, Minister of Finance. His advisor in legal matters mans the portfolio, Minister of Justice and Attorney General. So on and so forth for agriculture and other areas, land and whatnot. These are all advisors of the president, correct? And correct? Let's get that first.
They are referred to as ministers of sectors. In this new dispensation, when you mention advisors, it's a different thing.
I'm not talking about the title here.
Okay.
Because the title advisor is not on the Secretary General's title, is it? But you just mentioned that he's the chief advisor to the president.
He's the chief technician to advise the president on civil service matters.
Okay.
Yes.
However, that is on civil service matters.
Yes, and you have general government machinery.
Okay. You have each of the ministers sitting there to advise on their different portfolios.
Yes.
Correct? And then you have the SG sitting there to advise equally, just as the ministers are doing. Correct? You don't need to put up your hand. You can always speak.
Okay, let me help you, Council. Cabinet meetings, ministers are there when you have your cabinet papers submitted, and cabinet will deliberate on that one. So, Secretary General, like any other ministers present in that particular meeting, they will all do their contributions. So, while Secretary General is there, the point I'm helping you here is taking note of some of the salient points as stark reminder to his principal or her principal.
He's taking note, or he or she is taking note on issues that affect his office in relation to advising the president, correct?
Not only affecting the presidency, but entire machinery of the government as deliberation is going on in the cabinet floor.
Why is it the entire machinery of the government?
Because we are talking of entire government.
And you're talking about the SG, who is the coordinator of all permanent secretaries, correct?
Yes.
So that is his office, isn't
Yes.
it?
Yes.
So he's advising the president on matters that affect his office,
Yes.
correct?
Mm-hmm.
You agree?
Yes.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
So he or she is sitting there just as the ministers are sitting there.
Mm-hmm.
So for the purposes of those meetings, you don't report, again, you don't need to put up your hand.
Sorry, let me help you.
Mm-hmm. Please.
Like you say, as other ministers are sitting, let me qualify that one.
Please do.
Those ministers don't have daily interaction with the president. It's the Secretary General who see the president on daily basis. You cannot count the number of times Secretary General will see the president, not ministers. Ministers are there on appointment. The chief
That's
of
natural,
protocol,
Mr. Ceesay.
yes, by chief of protocol at
Okay.
the office of the president. They are there on appointment. But Secretary General, you just go up, ring the bell, you are allowed to enter.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you for that insight. However, what we want, so, okay, what was the relevance of that clarification? I need to understand.
The relevance here is to let you know that ministers don't have daily contacts with the chief executive of the country, the president, on daily basis.
All right.
Yes.
Thank you very much. We're not talking about contact here. We're talking about their role in cabinet.
The role is clear when the paper is presented. As cabinet secretary, I will now call the paper. This is the trade agreement between Gambia and Senegal. That is the bilateral trade agreement, or this is the meeting that was held in Nouakchott, the Ministerial Council, Gambia and Nouakchott, or Mauritania. And then I will now invite the Minister of Trade to read out the paper. And then after reading the paper in summary, then the rest of the cabinet, I will now take permission from the chairman. Now the minister is done with the reading, or that's the presentation of the paper. Then the chair will give the permission. Any minister, while the colleague is presenting the paper, you take note. Okay? You take note of the paper, some of the points in the paper. Then after the minister is done, because you don't have to interrupt the person when you are presenting. Then when you are done, then I now sought permission from the chairman. Then chair will now open the floor. Then ministers who have some points of the trade agreement, the bilateral agreement between Nouakchott and Banjul, they look at some key points for correction, for adjustments. Then these are what is recorded by the Secretary to Cabinet and my deputy, DSC, that is Deputy Secretary to the Cabinet. And then we'll take this is 24th August meeting. Then sometime we can even call the Minister of Trade when the cabinet paper is urgent, because they might travel to Nouakchott for next round meeting. So before that, to wait for next cabinet meeting, we can call the minister concerned. And then we read out the conclusion. Once he agrees with the text, then we can do the conclusions, and then we can copy. That is what we call extract. We can now send copies, okay, to the Ministry of Trade, Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Ministry of Finance, that is relevant sectors, Ministry of Justice, MOG. That is how we do the communication from Cabinet Office. Yes.
So you just explained that once the cabinet paper is presented, the other ministers will take note. And I'm also guessing that the SG will also be taking note.
Yes, you can contribute as SG during the meeting.
Yes, because in that meeting, there are three classes of people. There is the chairperson, there is the secretary, and there are the members. Correct?
Yes, that is the members of the cabinet.
Is there another class of people?
No, Nikia is part of the members of the cabinet.
That is obvious. But
Yes.
what are the classifications of people that are in the meeting?
Is
The
the-
chairperson,
is
the
the
secretary.
president-
Mr. Ceesay, you have to let me finish so that you can understand what I am asking, so that we can make traction. You cannot be speaking over me. You understand that? We need to get that clear. With all due respect, sir. There are three categories of people. There's the chairperson. There is the members.
Members,
The
okay.
chairperson is a member, we understand that.
Yes.
And then there is the secretariat.
Secretariat. That's the secretary.
Is there any other, are there any other classifications of persons?
No, these are the 3 points.
So where does the Secretary General fit in that classification?
He's part of the member.
He's part of a member.
Yes.
So he's basically just at par with other ministers for
Yes.
that meeting.
Yes, they are at the same level.
Yes. So for the purposes of that meeting, you will not report to him.
No.
You
You
report
do
to
your
the
conclusion.
president.
You do your conclusion. You don't report to president on every meeting.
Do you report to the SG for the purposes of the meetings?
No, you don't do that. That is what I mentioned. I say you do cabinet conclusion, and we send extract to Secretary General also for the attention of the president. You don't report to Secretary General on
So who
every
does the
meeting.
Secretary to Cabinet report to on issues of the the Cabinet meetings?
When there are matters, when you need a cabinet meeting, that is what I stated earlier. You clear that with the chairman, that is the president. You clear with the chairman.
Okay.
Yes.
So it is clear that you have 2 reporting lines.
Yes.
Because of the diverse nature, let me finish. Because of the diverse nature of the role of the Secretary to Cabinet, there are 2 reporting lines. The substantive reporting line and the usual one is with the SG, the Secretary General. However, because when you were describing your TOR, it seems the Secretary to Cabinet's focus is only on Cabinet meetings and whatever outcomes and considerations are surrounding Cabinet meetings. And for that purpose, your superior would be the chairperson, who invariably is the president. Correct?
Yes.
So, great. Is there something you want to add before I move on?
No, it's okay. Go
Great.
ahead.
So, aside from receiving instructions from SG and chairperson, do you receive instructions from other members of cabinet directly?
No, we don't have anything to do with others. How we communicate to them, I've mentioned that earlier, is by way of submitting their CPs, their cabinet papers. Okay? And then for the case of Secretary to Cabinet, we are on 2 points. You have your role as Secretary to Cabinet, but you are also playing part in the civil service. So by helping the Secretary General and Deputy Secretary General on the matters of civil service. That is where I highlighted the issue of organizing retreat and other assignments from the Secretary General's desk.
So, you mentioned cabinet papers. How do you receive cabinet papers? Do you receive it from ministries directly, or do you receive it from the Secretary General?
Cabinet Secretary will inform the sector ministers, and then the ministers will communicate that to their permanent secretaries if they have any paper to be discussed in the cabinet. So once they are done with their cabinet papers, it is in the sealed envelope and then sent directly to a cabinet secretary, not to Secretary General. It is in the sealed envelope sent to cabinet secretary, and we don't want it to be sent by email or whatever means. It's hard copy that is submitted, and whoever you are sending, we need to clear the person. From transport, from interior, from defense, you need to clear the individual, the messenger that is coming. And then once the paper is received, we compile them. So for purpose of fast-tracking cabinet meetings, I have initiated that we come up with Cabinet Paper Review Committee of eminent permanent secretaries. This Cabinet Paper Review Committee will look into 3 points: whether cabinet papers submitted have any policy implications, or whether they have any legal implications, or they have any financial implications. So, and also to reduce the size of the cabinet paper, just to have the relevant stuff there. So we are assisted in doing this by the TBI, that is the Tony Blair Institute at the Office of the President. So this helps cabinet sittings to be more faster, unlike before, because cabinet secretary cannot do everything alone. You are not all-rounder in all these subject matters. You cannot be management specialist, economics, any other subject. So you need other people around you to help you do all those activities. So that is why we set up a paper review committee to help us look at the paper. So I have assigned my Deputy Secretary to Cabinet to chair that committee of permanent secretaries. Let me also inform you that Deputy Secretary to Cabinet is equivalent to permanent secretary position in the civil service.
You done? All right. Thank you for that. Even though my question was not for your initiative, but it's a good initiative. And is it all the permanent secretaries of all ministries, or just the permanent secretaries at the office of the president?
For the paper review committee?
Yes.
No, we have permanent secretaries from finance, from justice.
So all ministries?
No, not all ministries, just few of them. And then some from the office of the president and personal management office in case of policy issues. So these are the permanent secretaries, up to 5 of them, to be together with the deputy secretary to the cabinet. They will review all the submissions from the ministries.
Do the permanent secretaries change, or it's just a static 5?
No, we just maintain based on the ministries like justice, finance, and then those within the office, and then personal management office.
My question is hinting on subject matter. Does the subject matter depend who sits on the committee?
These are the people we believe, because permanent secretaries rotate. They rotate. So as they rotate, they will have experience of many sectors. So these are the ones we identify, at least 5 of them, to work with the Deputy Secretary to Cabinet to review all the papers, and they'll make their recommendations, and they'll bring all the submissions to Secretary to Cabinet. Then I have to sign that this paper be returned to the Ministry of Environment for them to address it, or this one be returned to Ministry of Agriculture, Food Security and Livestock, okay? Or this paper be returned to Ministry of Defense, that the paper committee review it, and they've seen that there are gaps there. So those gaps they will identify, so that the process we call cleaning up the paper, so that they will clean up the paper to make it shorter and direct to the point for cabinet discussions.
Okay, thank you for that. That was a slight segue. Let's go back to the point of receiving cabinet papers. You receive cabinet papers outside of the reporting lines, correct? They come directly to you, not to your superior, the Secretary General.
No, they are not there to receive cabinet papers. Sometimes mistakenly people will address the Secretary General, but he will redirect it to the cabinet office because it's meant for cabinet.
And they are usually sealed, correct?
Every envelope is sealed.
So would the Secretary General then open the seal?
No. Once it's labeled as CP.
So once it's labeled as CP, let me get something
open
right.
it.
Once it's labeled as CP, the person that has the authority to open it is the Secretary to Cabinet.
Secretary to the cabinet.
And Secretary General does not have authority.
No, you don't open that seal envelope.
Now, you see, Mr. Ceesay, this is where I will appreciate your experience. Please enlighten us. Like you like to put it, help us.
Okay.
Help us in this regard.
Like I mentioned earlier.
The question has not come yet.
No, like I mentioned earlier.
Yes, but the question is to come, Mr.
All right, we will progress on the point. Let me just give you this version quickly.
Before you give me your version, just know my question, so that we drive in my direction, not
I
in
think
your
you've
direction.
given me the go-ahead to explain. Oh, all right, continue.
I have not asked the question.
Okay, go ahead.
You're even making me forget my question.
That's too bad.
Is that the plan?
No.
It will not work. In all seriousness, please, the arrangement you just explained is that CPs, cabinet papers, are sent directly to the office of the Secretary to Cabinet, not to the Secretary General.
Yes.
But yet, let's critically analyze the organogram again. But yet, in the organogram, in the general structure of the office of the President, the Secretary General is of a higher footing than the Secretary to Cabinet, Because the Secretary General is the head of administration, which the Secretary to Cabinet falls under, correct? And usually, in most institutions, the head of administration would be abreast with every single correspondence, every single article that comes into his administration, correct? In general administration, right? Correct?
I'm
Yes or no?
listening, I'm listening.
I have asked you a question now. Yes or no? Is that right? Guide me on that.
What I'll put there is what we call context specific.
That's why I said
Yes.
general.
I will not want to qualify your statement generally like that. It is going to be very vague.
All right. In other
Because I know what Secretary to Cabinet does and what Secretary General do. So I'll listen to your whole submission, but I will not offer my prayer to that immediately.
Okay, that's fine. As long as you will eventually offer your prayers. That one you will do. But my question is, if you look at ministries, they have permanent secretaries who are the heads of their administration, correct?
Yes.
Now, at OP, it's a bit different because there's a Secretary General, but there's also a permanent secretary.
Exactly.
Permanent secretary, correct?
Mr. Deva, let me help you in this
Please
case.
help me. That's why you're here today.
The ministries and the organogram at Office of the President are not the same. Office of the President has its own organogram. Cabinet is a little autonomy of the Secretary General. That is why cabinet papers cannot be submitted directly to SG. That's the point here. You can go ahead.
I like the word you used. Cabinet proceedings are autonomous of the role of the SG. That it invariably says is that the Secretary to Cabinet is autonomous with regards to his core TOR, which you said surrounds the meetings of Cabinet.
That is the issue of paper issuance. But also remember that Cabinet Secretary is under Secretary General. This is a little bit critical. Now, there is a thin line between these 2 points.
And that thin line needs to be drawn by you. And you will draw that thin line for us. You mentioned here that you know the difference between the Secretary to Cabinet and Cabinet Secretary.
That is what I
Secretary General and Cabinet to Secretary. You know the difference, and you will hear what we have to say.
Secretary to
Told them, Mr.
Cabinet.
Ceesay. You will hear what we have to say and be able to guide us.
That's
correct?
what I'm doing.
But this is why you're here.
Thank you.
You should guide us on those intricacies.
Okay.
Please assume that we don't know anything about the office of the President. And don't assume anything is too little for us to know. We want to know everything.
That's the role of the teacher.
And teach, and I will oblige you as your students.
All right.
You know. So, Mr. Teacher,
Yes.
please teach us.
Okay. So at this juncture, what do you want to be enlightened now? Because we have been rounding on the same issue.
I'm glad you understand that we have been rounding on the same issue.
Yeah,
and I said I will not move until I have clarity. So,
I can make you move when I'm clear what you want to know.
please enlighten me on that. What do you mean by that statement?
What do you want to know now?
Okay, thank you. What I want to know is, if you look at the organogram of the Office of the President, it is clear from what you have explained that the Secretary to Cabinet is administratively under the Secretary General. That is, we are on the same page there, right? Correct?
Yes.
Good. However, the two have separate TORs. And if you zero into the Secretary to Cabinet's TOR, it surrounds cabinet meetings. Correct?
Yes.
And for a recollection of your own words, you mentioned that meetings of cabinet are autonomous to the role of the Secretary General. Correct?
Yes.
So it would mean invariably that the Secretary to Cabinet's role in the meetings to Cabinet are autonomous from, he has autonomy from the Secretary General, correct?
But remember, it's part of the organogram. The Secretary General also report to another level. And that's where Secretary of Cabinet also report to.
Okay.
Yes.
So the Secretary to Cabinet, with regards to his role to the meetings of Cabinet, his role is autonomous from the Secretary General, isn't it?
Secretary General is part of the cabinet. So in this case, the conclusions are also sent to Secretary General.
But then what is the reporting line with regards to meetings? The Secretary to Cabinet does not report to the Secretary General with regards to meetings of Cabinet.
No,
correct?
you report to the President. I mentioned that earlier.
Yes, you did mention that,
yes.
but you mentioned contracting statements.
If there should be cabinet meeting.
Let me finish. You mentioned that indeed. I can acknowledge that.
Okay.
However, you did also mention contrasting statements that muddy the waters on our understanding of what the role of the Secretary to Cabinet is. And this is why it's important that we understand how the CPs come in, because they come in directly to the Secretary to Cabinet,
Yes.
not through the usual administrative organogram.
No.
So with respect to a minute function, the Secretary to Cabinet has no reporting line leading to the SG on one specific function of his.
No, Council Deva, you still have a reporting line to Secretary General, because I mentioned we are also part of the civil service. We are not independent of what happens at the office of the President. That is why I mentioned earlier in my submissions that when SG is out of town, it's the Secretary to Cabinet who oversees the civil service. So we must report to Secretary General on civil service matters. That is what I have mentioned.
Mr. Ceesay,
What do you
question is,
arrive at
My
the
question
cabinet issue?
my question is in relation to cabinet meetings.
No, I mentioned that severally to you, Mr. Counsel. Cabinet meetings is by way of conclusions. So every minister, you have your conclusions.
So when it comes to cabinet meetings and
Yes.
cabinet issues,
Yes.
the Secretary to Cabinet does not report.
No, you don't report to a
Secretary General.
You don't report. That is clear. That is made clear.
It is not made clear,
Chairman.
Mr.
No,
Ceesay.
I mentioned that to you.
You did mention that he reports to the chairperson. But every time I ask that the meetings of cabinet are autonomous of the function of the Secretary General, you maintain that yes, there is still a reporting line to,
Yes, reporting line
to Secretary General. Let me finish so that you can understand. Yes, we understand that in the general administration of the office of the President,
Exactly. All right, go ahead.
in the general administration of the office of the President, there is a reporting line
Okay.
to the SG, and the SG can assign you.
Yes.
However, when it comes to matters of cabinet, SG has no sway, no authority over the Secretary to Cabinet. Yes or no?
He don't assign me matters of cabinet. He don't assign me. This is based on the submission of cabinet members, cabinet ministers. Once conclusion is done, it is sent to cabinet ministers or ministries. And I mentioned that how he would assign you is based on what the President will put to the Secretary General. That's the point. But all the matters are handled at the level of the ministries and agencies. I did mention that in my submission. Yes.
Okay, that's clear. So I want a yes or no answer to this question, if you can. My question is, when it comes to issues of cabinet, does the Secretary General have any sway over the Secretary to Cabinet?
This matter of Secretary General, what he is also instructed by the President. And President can call me or the Secretary General to discuss some of the salient issues that was discussed in the cabinet meeting. That's the point.
You have not answered my question. My question is, when it comes to cabinet meetings,
He don't have any direct issue.
so it's a yes or no?
Yes, he has no other direction.
So what's the answer to the question, Mr. Ceesay? Does the Secretary General have authority over the secretary to cabinet when it comes to cabinet meetings?
No, it's not the case.
No.
It's not the case.
Thank you.
Yes.
So, with respect to cabinet meetings, we will understand that at least that aspect of the job of the secretary to cabinet, it is secluded from the secretary general.
Yes.
So, aside from that role, how are instructions issued to from the secretary general to the secretary to cabinet?
Sometimes it's like I say, when they receive the correspondence, they put in the file. Secretary General can minute it to permanent secretaries or to secretary to cabinet, and then he can also call you to discuss certain matters with you. Can give you verbal instruction or can be in the written form at the office level.
So there are two types of communications, verbal and written. So when does Mr. Ceesay, we need to establish some order here.
Okay.
When I'm speaking, I need you to be silent and listening to my questions.
Okay.
When you're speaking, I will give you the same courtesy until I feel my question has been answered, and then I'll direct you accordingly.
All right.
Is that fine?
Thank you.
All right. Please go ahead.
Like, you will now get the folder from the records office at the office of the president. That's the general record office. These are all the correspondence from ministries, from departments, from agencies, addressed to the Secretary General and head of the civil service. Sometimes it can be inviting the president to preside over the opening ceremony of a particular ministry's program, or opening a new building, like the case of the Office of the Environment that was held this year. So these are the things Secretary General will ask you to minute. They will send the file to you, and you will now minute this one, and then send the file based on the folder that is sent to you. You send this file to the Secretary General. He will now act on this and can put there what we call in transition. That is to give a little orientation to the president about the particular event. And then he's going to take the file to discuss with the president. Then president will now give the go-ahead. Sometimes this can be letters of felicitations from other heads of states sent to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs that are forwarded to the office of the president. So this is how can communicate to you in a written form. At times, he can also convene general staff meeting, or can convene SMT, that is senior management meeting, or can invite the secretary to cabinet. In the absence of DSK, you are next to the secretary general. He can invite you and discuss certain matters with you. When you are going to meet your superior, you have to go with your notebook to take note of what he is going to assign you, so that when you take note, you can also go back to your office and then see which permanent secretary or which deputy permanent secretary or principal assistant secretary can be assigned to do this one. And then you will keep on tracking them, that is to monitor them. And then you will also report to the Secretary General that this is what you have given me yesterday on Thursday, and then I've assigned on Friday. You go back to Secretary General in your morning briefing. You inform him or her that this is what I've already assigned, and then hopefully by Monday we'll get all the files, or they will do their findings. Sometimes it's by way of making telephone call to a particular ministry.
Okay, let me stop you there. So usually, from what I've understood from your answer, is that usually communication is written. However, there are some times that you would engage in verbal communication for certain discussions, which will be assignments from a superior.
Yes.
Whether the chairperson or the SG. But those will also be documented eventually.
Yes.
Now, the question initially was, what instances do you communicate in a written form, and what instances would warrant a verbal instruction?
Instance like I mentioned earlier is when letters are sent to Secretary General, then he will now minute it, you know, will minute SC, please act, okay? Then we'll make a summary version, because sometimes some correspondence will be about 3 to 5 pages. So we'll make a summary version of it, so that SG don't have all the time. That is the executive summary. We'll do that for the Secretary General, for the attention of his superior, that's the President, that he'll be able to advise the President on key matters. Because you cannot just have 5 pages as they may send the letter. So you, as the Secretary General minuted to, you have to make summary of key salient points. These are the ones you now minute to the Secretary General in a particular folio 37, 38, 39, and then this is what the Secretary General will receive all the files, and then he will go over all the files, check, and then there are files that stop at the level of Secretary General. You don't need to take it up.
Isn't it?
Yes.
Answer my question. What instances warrant written communication and what instances warrant verbal communication? You see, you can speak all you wish. My questions, if they're not answered, we are not moving from these points. Very short answers.
The point is clear. The instruction from the Secretary General can be written or can be verbal. Like sometimes issues from ministries in a form of letter, or he can also meet the President and call me. Then, like I mentioned, I go with my notebook to take note of do ABC.
Mr. Ceesay,
yes.
It is clear that instructions can be written and verbal.
Can be verbal, yes.
That is very clear.
Very good.
Can we say that we are both clear on that?
Yes, very good.
Now,
we are clear.
Let me speak in simple terms.
Okay.
What brings about the written communication and what brings about a verbal communication?
There are moments when the particular assignment requires a written communication.
What kind of moments?
When it has to do with permanent secretaries for correspondence in their various ministries. And there are times when you can just call by phone call. Secretary General can just call you and say contact permanent secretary ABC to do submission like the State of the Nation's address, okay, the SONA submission. We send the general information and then with the deadline. After Secretary General will call me and say, can you call the permanent secretaries? We need to get the submission. So my understanding is that it can be both written or verbal.
So that request for the submission to come, when it's done verbally, is it a follow-up to a written, let me finish,
okay,
a written request, or it can be the initiating correspondence?
No, what I mentioned is initially you initiate by writing that we receive communication from this house here, National Assembly, that SONA is slated for 25th of March. Okay, for example, 2024. Then immediately SG received that from the clerk of the National Assembly. You will now minute it to either myself as Secretary to Cabinet or any permanent secretary within the office of the President to write to all the permanent secretaries with the deadline for submission. So sometimes some PSCs will stick to deadline and submit before time, whereas we don't get before all the submission before time. That is where we use telephone to call some permanent secretaries.
So those are follow-ups?
Yes.
So the initiating conversation,
writing.
The initiating conversation will never be via a phone call?
No, you don't do that.
You don't do that, right?
No, you write to them. You only inform the Secretary to Cabinet that you need to get the file for this SONA, that is the State of the Nation address, that is on yearly basis by the President. Then we'll get the file and the letter from this house, okay?
Yes, you explained, and it will be minuted to you, and you can minute it on. Yes, thank you very much for that. What I would like to, however, know is, just again, to be clear, it is strange for directives to be given verbally to you, wouldn't it?
No, they don't give directives
Verbally.
all the time verbal. These are just for follow-up.
Well, I'm not talking about all the time. I'm talking about any time.
No.
Is it strange?
It's written one.
It's written.
Yes.
All right. What about when you did mention that sometimes the SG will minute to you or give you a call to say, call X and Y and inform them of A and B. How is that communication done? Is it always by phone calls, or are there memos?
You have your circular that is sent to government-wide. That is what I've mentioned about submission, from sectors for the upcoming SONA. You send the circular first, and then after a few days, then you do that, the follow-up by phone calls. SG can ask you how many have submitted to the office. We create email and then soft copy. We get soft copy, or we can also get the hard copy, because we need to trim the materials. We need to reduce the size.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
I can tell you are a good teacher, because when you ask the question, you go over and beyond and you explain so well. Anyway, the verbal communications, however, we have explained the written communications, what circumstances arise, what would give rise to written communications. What about the verbal communications?
Verbal for these quick reminders of certain actions that need to be taken.
Reminders?
For example, when you are to organize permanent secretaries retreat, which is on the quarterly basis. Every quarter we have the retreat of permanent secretaries. So a task force is formed. Sometimes SG will ask you to check by phone calls, or you can send a message to a WhatsApp group now of the planners, permanent secretaries, and so you drop the message, everybody will know that, oh, my sector has not, finalized our presentation. So with the technology now, communication is getting faster within the civil service circle.
Okay. So, in your experience, where verbal instructions are given to the secretary to cabinet, is it a requirement? We already established that most of your communications are written, and when it's verbal, it's just a follow-up or a reminder, as you put it. So when verbal instructions are given to the secretary to cabinet by the SG or by the president, do you usually ask for them to be formalized, to be formal?
Council, I've mentioned that when you are going to see your superior, you go with your notebook in civil service. That is the decorum. Can I continue?
You can continue.
But you cannot see my face.
So you're ridiculing the National Assembly. I can see you, sir. You can go on. You can go
ahead. So, all right, thank you. When you are meeting your superior, you go with the notebook. Superior will give you wordings verbally, but it's you who should write it. Okay, you write it as a reminder to yourself, so that you take note of this student ABC. We need to put up a borehole in Dankungu. We need to do, this in Pachari. We need to do a solar plant in Sapo. All these.
Okay, let me just jump in there.
Yes.
Those kind of instructions, are they not instructions that are born from a previous conversation, maybe cabinet meetings, and you're just being reminded? Or is it that they will give you instructions to implement?
These are instructions that are coming from your superior.
For implementation?
Yeah, like the president will now give you those assignments, like we need these boreholes in this particular, and then I'll take note because this is presidential. You take note, and you should know using your initiative. That is why you are appointed there as chief advisor to the president. You should know. If president need borehole, you don't tell the president, how do we get borehole? There is Ministry of Water Resources. and they have JICA project from Japan. That is where you leave the president's office and call the minister or permanent secretary at the Ministry of Water Resources.
That's great.
Yes.
That's a good point. So would you call the minister once you, let's take your example. The president instructs you that there is a need for borehole somewhere.
Yes, in Dankunku.
And in Dankunku. You are very specific about Dankunku. Are you from Dankunku?
No, I'm near Dankunku.
I see. So you benefit from the borehole.
Okay.
All right. So the borehole needs to be erected in, is it erected or dug?
Anything you want to say. This is language.
Really?
We are not looking at this.
Okay, no problem, no problem. I thought the two and the off was the small thing, but anyway. The president instructs you that boreholes need to be dug.
Yes.
In Dankunku.
Mm.
And of course, you being the technician, you know exactly where to go.
Okay.
You go to the Ministry of Water Resources.
Yes.
But how would you approach the Ministry of Water Resources?
As Cabinet Secretary, you have that rapport, that interaction. I call the Minister of Water Resources.
And just tell him to implement?
No, not to implement. We write.
Okay.
But initially, we need to know whether there is fund available.
Okay.
To have those boreholes in certain villages. They now, sometimes they have what we call these industrial borehole, cluster ones. So once they say it is available, I'll go back to the president. You know, this has to do with the political consequence of the president. This is what you are also managing. So role of Secretary to Cabinet and Secretary General is very difficult. Okay?
So before any action is made,
you need to find out.
Let me land.
Yes.
Before any action is made,
yes,
there will be a correspondence on record. Correct?
No.
So what I mean is, the president has assigned you to ensure that Dankunku have boreholes. You go to you call Water Resources, ask whether they have funds and how it will work. You go back and report, and the president tells you execute. How is that execution done? You write to the ministry, correct?
Exactly.
So
now,
essentially, you have written to the ministry, you have put it on record. So there's a record of it.
Now you are also part of OP. You are learning.
I'm learning.
Yes.
I'm a graduating student.
Yes. So this is how
I graduated, huh?
This is how it works, because president is political appointee.
Of course.
He has that consequence that he need to respond. When we travel to Mankamang, we have a lot of courtesy calls. People coming from different villages, I'm there to take note. So when president return, I will give him all those information. You know, Sare Gidam want to have their mosques done. You know, Sare Pade need a garden. You know, and you should know where that garden should come from. You should also remember, as senior government officer, you should know there is a giraffe project under the Ministry of Agriculture, Livestock and Food Security. You should know that one. So when you come, the minister can be summoned to the presidency. You can even invite the minister sometime to come to presidency and explain. I've just come back from my village, and these are the requests. It's with Secretary to Cabinet. So I will give highlights of all those requests, Mr. Counsel. Okay? And then the minister can come with his technicians, like Permanent Secretary, DPS, and the project director, okay, for that particular project, whether there is enough funding to build gardens for certain villages, or whether they can have cattle trough in their areas. In Salong, in Yanija, we traverse the whole country. So once you have all those notes, then you will compile it and then come back. That is why you are with the president. President don't travel alone. When he's going on annual leave, I will also apply for annual leave, and I'm stationed there at Mankamang throughout. So that all the people coming for courtesy call, they come with different demands on daily basis.
That's understood.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right.
However, all those demands, essentially, before they are acted upon, there's record of it.
By the one who is there, the Secretary to Cabinet. I always accompany the president.
And so what I mean is, of course, there's records of the minutes
Thank you.
of the meetings.
Thank you.
However, before those, the conclusions of the minutes, the matters that arose from the minutes, before they are acted upon, there has to be a written correspondence from your office to the relevant ministries or institution. And then the record will then speak for itself, correct?
Thank you.
So it's never a case where the president will go and tell you that Dankunku need a borehole, and you call and there is a borehole in Dankunku.
Initial
That
call
is never,
no,
yes.
no, never.
That's never a case.
No.
That's what I want to understand.
That's very good. Initial call is to know whether JICA phone is still available. Yes.
Okay. That's fine. We have established that most communication is written communication, and even where it's verbal, eventually it is put down on paper.
Yes, because let me also orient you, president's statement is policy. Whatever president mentions is policy. So when you are going to president, you have to take your notebook. You know, president don't give you a statement and the next day you say, I forget about this particular one. No. That is why you are appointed. You must be up to the task.
Of course.
All right. Thank you.
Great. I would like you to describe the standard procedure for implementing cabinet decisions. How are they implemented once they are taken?
Yes, that is what I mentioned earlier in my submission, and I will reorient you on that one again.
Please do.
Yes, that is when cabinet papers are submitted, we submit them to a paper review committee headed by the Deputy Secretary to Cabinet to review the submissions. If there are 3 points, whether there are policy implications or financial implications or legal implications, and then if there are gaps, then the Cabinet Paper Review Committee will help to adjust that one, and then send the cabinet paper back to the ministry, let's say Ministry of Petroleum, Energy and Mines. They will send the paper back to them for them to adjust on ABC, okay? And once that is done, we now have the clean version of maybe number of papers up to 5, 6 papers for that particular cabinet meeting slated for 24th of August 2021. I need to clear that with the chairman of the cabinet. Once cabinet is done, we now have the conclusions. I have also mentioned earlier, once some of the issues are urgent, you can contact the sector minister directly before the next cabinet meeting. I stated earlier the case of, trade bilateral agreements between Nouakchott and Banjul. So that this case, you can contact the Minister of Trade directly to confirm the text that you have written, whether there is any discrepancy or omission in the text. And then you also check that against the submitted cabinet paper to see whether everything is in line, and the minister have to confirm. You can also even make a copy, a quick extract, give it to your messenger to deliver to the minister concerned, to go over it, do the adjustment quickly, and then return the material to you so that you can do your extract. After the extract have been signed by a cabinet secretary, for the cabinet members to know what has been done on this particular one, like the trade bilateral agreements between Nouakchott and Banjul, is by way of next cabinet meeting when cabinet secretary asks for the updates. But in the case of operational matters, the execution of that one is left to the ministries and agencies level, not cabinet office.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Okay.
All right, let's move on to the establishment of the commission.
Okay.
The Jammeh Commission.
All
now.
right.
And at that time, the commission was established on the 12th of July, 2017. And at that time, you were
Permanent
Secretary of the Office of the President.
Until December 8, when I was elevated to SC level.
Yes.
Okay.
Dates which you vividly remember.
Yes.
Yes, teacher.
Okay.
All right. So can you give us a very short this time? I know your teaching tendencies will want to come, but give me a very short explanation of the role of the permanent secretary, where he or she sits and where they do not sit?
Permanent secretary?
Yes, of the office of the president.
No, permanent secretaries are based in their various offices. Like I mentioned earlier, you have permanent secretary for finance and admin, for projects and programs, for policy, and so on. So we also have some committees at the level of the office of the president. We have procurement committee. We sit with the secretary general and look at all the submission on procurement matters. And then with the help of the accountant there and the internal auditors will also check what is being done is whether it's in line with the normal procedure. So this is what permanent secretaries also receive instruction by way of a folder or the letter that is sent to them from Secretary General. In the absence of the Secretary General, all the folders are sent to Secretary to Cabinet. So at the time I will preside over the civil service until Secretary General return to office.
When you say I would preside, you mean you as in what position?
To oversee all the permanent secretaries' activities in all the sectors. That is sector-wide.
So which exact permanent secretary were you?
I was permanent secretary administration.
Administration.
Yeah.
And
then
did that include finance?
No. At the time it was admin and policy. And let me help you.
Please help.
Yeah, during that time, we have administration based temporarily at Fajara. So the main administration was in Banjul with late Secretary General Mr. Fadera. So Fadera assigned me to be with the president at Fajara, so that on daily basis, the courtesy calls and other issues, I can take note. And when they have files for me in Banjul, I will send our protocol officers to collect all those files for me that are minuted to Permanent Secretary Ebrima.
So,
at the time.
Mr. Ceesay, when you said, let me help you, you are actually helping yourself and distancing yourself from Banjul.
No, then I was not in Banjul. I was with the president at Fajara. We started at Kairaba Bikota. You know, the dispensation started at Kairaba.
So that's where the office was?
Yes, that's where president and the entire administration was.
All right. So let's stick to permanent secretary. You were permanent secretary, admin, and policy. What did that entail? Did you sit in cabinet meetings?
No,
as permanent secretary?
No, permanent secretaries don't
Where
sit.
is it? I understand that this is your subject area. You know the information very well, and you're eager to give the information. But again, you will have to allow me land so that you can get the context in which I want to ask those questions.
Proceed, please.
The permanent secretary. Did that permanent secretary, the permanent secretary of admin and policy, when you were permanent secretary admin and policy, did you sit in cabinet?
No.
Not once did you sit in cabinet?
No.
So your role was limited to correspondences. Where did the policy bit of your role come in?
That is from the Secretary General. You report directly on the Secretary General.
Please enlighten us on that policy aspect of your title, of your previous.
Those are the sector-wide policies of different ministries. And then the Secretary General at the time will know this matter should be addressed, should be minuted to Permanent Secretary Ceesay, or this one should be minuted to Permanent Secretary Ceesay, and so on. Yes, based on your areas of expertise.
Okay, and you held that position until the 13th
of February 2017 to
the 8th of
December 2017.
2017.
Yes.
In your time, in that period, did you deal with anything relating to the Jammeh Commission?
No way.
This is the first time you said no to me.
I was not in position.
Very clear answer, for once.
I always make clear answers, my counsel.
I see. So you started to be abreast with issues relating to cabinet from the 8th day of December 2017 to sometime in January 2023.
Yes.
And from that point onwards, you were the master of records in cabinet. Honorable Chair, I believe this is a convenient place to take a break and pick up from there after the break.
So we'll go on break, lunch and prayer breaks, and we come back at 3. Is that okay? All right, thanks. So meeting adjourned until 3.